Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you very much for tuning into GVSU Annual Climate Change Education Solutions Summit. And now, please join me welcoming Dr. Jesse Bernal, GVSU Chief of Staff to the President and Vice President for Inclusion and Equity. Welcome.
Thank you, Lena, and good afternoon, everyone. Good evening for some of you who are in different time zones, or good morning for some of you who are around the world. Welcome to the Climate Change Education Solutions Summit, which is supported by Grand Valley State University's College of Liberal Arts and Sciences, our Regional Math and Science Center, our departments of Geography and Sustainable Planning, the Office of Sustainable Practices, the Michigan Space Grant Consortium, and all of those who've given support in your time for bringing this together. Thank you, Lena and Yumi, especially for your leadership. We're joined today by scientists, educators, business leaders, students, community groups, and our external partners from across the country and the globe to share innovative ideas and perspectives on climate change education, both in Michigan and also worldwide. And importantly, our time together will focus not just on talking and listening, and we'll learn a lot from folks who are speaking, but on driving successful climate action. At Grand Valley, sustainability is one of our core values. We hold guiding principles of sustainability in helping to meet the current needs of our faculty, staff, and students without compromising the needs and resources of future generations. We are also committed to working with our community partners, and you'll meet lots of them over the next few days to create a sustainable future for our university, our community, our region, our state, our nation, and the entire world. And we model applied sustainability practices in our own campus operations and administration, education for sustainable development, student involvement, and community engagement by promoting social responsibility, practicing fiscal responsibility, and encouraging environmental stewardship. Grand Valley is proud to have been recognized as one of the country's most environmentally responsible colleges for the 11th year in a row by the Princeton Review. We've also received gold status for the 7th year in a row for sustainability practices and efforts throughout all sectors of the university by the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education. And I can't go without saying, as Vice President for Inclusion Equity, our Chief Diversity Officer on campus at Grand Valley, I'm proud that our efforts with sustainability are inextricably connected to our commitment to diversity and equity, including our commitment to cultural competency training and social justice education for all of our community members, our ongoing commitment to assessing our organizational climate, and the leadership engagement at the highest levels, including the support of our president, not only for our sustainability practices, but also our diversity and equity practices that are, again, so connected in meaningful ways. In 2019, as one example, President Philomena Mantella, who started in 2019, commissioned the Network of Advisors for Racial Equity following the killing of George Floyd in Minnesota. The network has been charged with identifying recommendations in key areas around recruitment, promotion, and retention of underrepresented communities, learning and development for all of our community members, and leadership and organizational improvements that we must enact to ensure we live into these commitments. We're entering phase 2 of our work together with this network, and we'll issue our second round of recommendations to the university just in the next few weeks. Our work over the last couple of years to evolve our strategic plan has intentionally continued our commitment to sustainability and solidly ensures that our community serves as a catalyst towards a more just and sustainable world, not only for our campuses, but all of those environments beyond us as well that we might influence or touch. All this is really fitting as the summit's focus on vulnerability and justice throughout the next few days is really being focused. So I hope your time at this summit, our time at this summit, will not only be informational, but also inspiring. Again, I want to welcome you all to the virtual Grand Valley home. I know we're all sad that we can't be in person today, but are glad that we are able to share this virtual space over the next few days. I'm now honored to introduce our opening address speaker and honorary chair of the summit. He has been a longtime champion of sustainable practices across the city of Grand Rapids, our region, our state, and has served as mayor of the city of Grand Rapids for over 13 years. We want to thank you for your leadership and for joining us this afternoon. So I'd like to turn it over to Mayor George Heartwell.
Well, thank you, Vice President Bernal, and let me join Mr. Bernal in welcoming you to this important annual summit on climate change for a sustainable future. I would begin by acknowledging that from my home here in northern Michigan, I come to you from the traditional territory of the Ojibwe Nation. In the woods and on the water around me here, I sense the continuing presence and encouragement and teaching of Ojibwe elders. Likely, most of you on this call have been trained in the scientific method, and that's a good thing. In fact, it's a very good thing. But let me also acknowledge that traditional ecological knowledge is another valid and helpful way to approach this work around environment and climate change. We have much to learn from the original peoples of North America, Turtle Island, as it's known to the Anishinaabe. Let me also extend thanks and congratulations to Professor Elena Lebimstova and her team for putting together another outstanding conference. The planning for this year's conference began almost immediately after the last year's conference had finished. And from looking at the agenda for this year, it was worth the effort, Elena. And as those of you who've attended this conference or this summit in the past know, Elena doesn't stop equipping you when the summit is over, but she sends articles and teaching aids throughout the year. So thank you, Elena and team, and thank you for honoring me with an opportunity to offer my own brief reflections. Friends, we're living in a time when science is dismissed and truth is twisted to mean its opposite. In no discipline is this truer than in the science of climate change. How could something that will affect the sustainability of our life form on Earth, something grounded solidly in climatological research over decades, how could it so easily be denied by those whose personal fortunes and political positions benefit from that lie? But maybe worse, climate change is denied by everyday people who find it uncomfortable to consider lifestyle changes necessary to turn the tide on climate warming and on weather catastrophes. A substantial segment of our population is willing to kick the can or roll the oil barrel down the road to the detriment of our children and our children's children. So the simple word that I bring to you today is this: be courageous in your teaching. Stand firmly on science and do not waver in the face of opposition. Tell your students the truth. Truth to counter the lies that they may be hearing on social media. Truth to counter the lies that they may even be hearing at the family dinner table. Teaching is a noble profession. Oh, yes, it's undervalued come contract negotiation time, I know, but its value is inestimable in the lives of the boys and girls, the young women and men, the undergraduates and the graduate students whom you teach. I have my own story of the influence of a teacher. I can tell you about Miss Bright, a high school English teacher who hunted me down in the hallway on the first day of school when she learned that I had dropped her senior honors English course in favor for a easier course, a simpler offering. She didn't know me. She had never taught me. In fact, I was brand new to that school, having moved from Grand Rapids to the Metro Detroit area just in the summer before my senior year. But Miss Bright was persistent and she was persuasive. She changed my mind that day, and she changed my life in the days that followed. Besides my parents, there was no one who had greater influence on my young life than Marilyn Bright. Teachers have the power to shape young people, and those young people have the power to shape the world around them, and just maybe the world far beyond them. With such power, teachers, comes great responsibility. If you sometimes feel like Damocles perched on King Dionysius' throne, ruling with all the power of the king for a day, but with a sword suspended over your head, suspended by a single horsehair, then you know that with power and responsibility also comes risk. So be courageous in your teaching. Be bold. Use science as your armor and truth as your sword. So much depends on you. This evening and tomorrow and Friday, the summit will equip you with tools to teach, strategies for teaching, and content to feed into those strategies. What this summit cannot do, though, is give you backbone. Now that comes from deep within you. It's the iron will, the skin of the rhino, the fierce courage of the tiger. You may not even know it's there until it's tested under fire. When someone points a finger in your face and calls your truth a lie or calls your science a fraud, then you must stand. The sword still suspended above you, and draw on the deepest traditions and the most honorable characteristics of your profession. Teach. Teach as if the lives of your students depend on you, for they do. Teach as if the future of the planet is in your hands, for it is. Teach knowing that the universe holds its breath, waiting to see if truth will prevail. You are teachers. Teach. And may what you learn at this summit encourage you and prepare you for the days that lie ahead. Thank you for listening.